So it's been 9 games since Zion's great debut, 10 games total, 22-8 on, a 62% true shooting percentage. The first thing to make note of is that Zion is a complete monster at the basket. I mean, he's shooting 8 free throws a game, he's grabbing 3.5 offensive boards a game, and he's shooting 68% at the rim, and even then it's really like 70-something because a decent amount of those misses are then rebounded by himself. So the guy's just a force down low. And the thing is what teams are doing is they're giving him space, but I don't think that's going to work against him because it just allows him to get momentum for those rebounds, to cut to the rim, or he'll just kind of post up on you. I mean, or he'll roll against you. I mean, against the Blazers, there was one time where Whiteside was giving him space, and then Zion just ran into Whiteside and just finished through him. And he made the shot. There were a couple times when he posted up on Steven Adams, and he was able to actually move Adams out of the way a little bit. There's a chance that Zion is the strongest player in the league. I mean, he's up there, no doubt. And as a result of all of that, just the aggressiveness and the willingness to draw contact, the dude is drawing a lot of fouls. I mean, in his last 2 games, he's drawn 21 fouls. And I think that trend is going to continue. I mean, in the last 2 games, I believe he's shot over 10 free throws each game. Yep, 13 against the Thunder, 14 against the Blazers. He had a 14 free throw night against the Bucks. And I think that's going to be the trend. He's also had a couple of 8 free throw games, one against the Celtics, one against the Grizzlies. I think that's going to be the norm for him. I think he is going to lead the league in free throw attempts, or be very high in it at least, for the next decade or so. And assuming that he can make them, and, his free throw percentage hasn't been great so far, but it's been a little better the last 2 games, then that's going to immediately make him one of the most efficient players in the league. I mean, hell, he's only shooting 65% on 8 free throws a game right now, which that's still above average because of how many he's shooting, but 65% is not great, and even so, his true shooting, again, is 62%, which is extremely efficient, so it's going to be difficult for him to not be a positive offensive player. In fact, it's going to be difficult for him to not be an overwhelmingly positive offensive player. But then, of course, there's all the craftiness around the rim as well. I mean, I've seen a couple times where he'll go into a guy with a right-handed dribble, and then he'll quickly do like a left-handed scoop shot, where you can tell that his mind is just working a little faster than the defender's is. His spin is way too fast for a guy who is as big as he is. And then when you take into account the spacing that this is going to generate for him, because, I mean, I've already seen it just watching him a bit, they bring extra defenders against him when they have to, and we've seen that Zion's a good passer. I mean, he hasn't had a bunch of assists in every game, but he's had a couple of 5 assists games, and when you watch him, you can just see the way that he sees open guys pretty quickly. I mean, he's a better passer than a lot of the league already. He's a better passer than a lot of guards, so the sky is really the limit for Zion on offense. We'll get to the defense in a minute here, but we all knew this going in, right? We knew that this dude could be a modern-day Charles Barkley type of a guy, and given that the NBA nowadays is smarter when it comes to spacing the floor out, and Zion's going to play some center, and it's better at like hunting mismatches. Also, teams just switch more nowadays. There's a chance it'll put up better numbers than Chuck. Does that mean Zion's going to be averaging like 30 and 15 one day? You know what? It may be possible, because half the time I watch the dude, it's as if he doesn't really know what he's doing out there, and he's still better than everybody else. So, he's great. Now, if we talk about the handle and the shot, I think the handle, he's certainly good enough to get like the ball and then roll to the rim and all that. Are we ever going to see him like isoing from the top of the key and all that? I don't know. I mean, I think he's already kind of good enough to do a couple face-up moves against centers who are not fast enough to deal with him, so there you go. To be honest, I don't know if he ever needs to be a LeBron-esque bring the ball up and primary ball handler kind of guy. Now, is there also a chance that if he didn't have as many good passers around him, he'd be scoring a little less? It's possible. I mean, Lonzo and Drew is potentially the best pairing of two passers on one team in the league. I mean, I'm not really thinking about it that hard, but it could be. I guess Harden and Westbrook would be number one, and if you want to be nice to Rondo, him and LeBron, but, you know, Lonzo and Drew is up there. But call me crazy, I wouldn't be surprised if Zion was doing this, regardless of who his guards were. I mean, we've seen the stats already about first round or, you know, first overall picks who have scored however many points in 10 games, and he's there with, like, Kareem and other dudes. The guy's great. Do I think he has a chance at Rookie of the Year? No, not a chance. Ja has played way too many games in comparison to Zion, and assuming Ja just stays healthy the rest of the year, I don't think it's going to be much of a contest, but that's fine. Zion will be alright. As far as the shooting is concerned, I don't know. He's 19. He's got time. I don't know. He's farther along than Giannis was at this point as a shooter. He's farther along than Giannis was, period. And the reason I say Giannis is because they're kind of similar players, similar games. Not exact, but you get it. So take that for whatever you will. Defensively, Zion has been not amazing. It doesn't really matter because the Pelicans are great with him. Like, they're plus a million when he's in the game. And if you want to make the case that that's how they're going to get into the postseason, you might have a pretty good case. I mean, they do have some work to do because the Grizzlies are not slowing down, and the Pelicans would have to jump the Spurs and the Blazers, and 6.5 games is a lot with how much time we have left. But the Pelicans could make it interesting nonetheless. But to get back to Zion's defense, could you make him look silly sometimes if you really force him to step out and move and make reads in the heat of the moment? Yeah, probably, but should I really be concerned about it? I mean, the dude didn't play for so long that I wouldn't expect him to be killing it on defense right now. I think at his best he can be a damn good defensive player, potentially a great one. He definitely has the physical gifts for it. I guess if there was anything that would hold him back defensively, maybe it would be his wingspan. Like, it's 6'10", which is still pretty good, but, you know, in comparison, like, Draymond's is 7'1", and Kawhi's is 7'3", so I don't know. Maybe Zion will never be an elite defender. I mean, I think he can be great at off, you know, weak side blocks, and he could certainly stop dudes from moving. The guy's a brick wall out there. But maybe he would never have the savviness or just like the absolute peak that other dudes like Kawhi or Draymond could have. But even then, part of me feels like he could get to that point because he's just such a physical anomaly, you know? But even if he doesn't get to that, could he still be very good? Yeah. Could I even see him making like an all-defense second team, potentially even first team if things go well a couple times? Yeah, again, it wouldn't shock me. Like, the guy is just such an alien when it comes to his athleticism and size that it's like, yeah, sure, you want to tell me that's possible? I'm not really going to argue with you too much. What is Zion's absolute ceiling? Probably best player in the league, I would say. Couple-time MVP. One of the... I mean, it changes depending on the era, but maybe he'll be one of the 5 or 6 dudes in 7 years who can actually win you a championship as your best player. The only fear is the health. And if for some reason he just disappoints, but based on what he's doing right now and based on what everybody said about the guy, dude's good. And his ceiling is really, really high. So, that's what I got on Zion.